All right. All right, guys. So we are back on the Sober Weekly podcast where we're here at the Magic House where we have tons of addicts or people who have special abilities or talents and we bring them here to empower them. So if you know someone or you are someone, message me on my Instagram at SoberFaust. And I don't know what else to say because I'm terrible at this. So today I have a very special guest. This woman has a story that will change your life. So if you want your life to be changed, keep on watching this. If you want to have your life empowered, keep on watching this. If you like reading books, order this book, Shape of a Woman, and we will talk about it in this. This book will shape you not only as a woman, but as a man too, because it helped shape me, and I'm very blessed to have her today. So today I want to introduce Jen Elizabeth.
Yes, hello. So happy to be here.
Thank you for being here, and
Heck
thank
yeah.
you for matching your coffee or drink.
You know, it's the little things in life these days. I'm telling you.
Starbucks sponsor us.
Starbucks
And bang.
and bang.
Please.
More bang for your buck.
Yes.
Yes. We love bangs.
But yeah, so I want to talk. Let's talk about your book.
Okay, let's do it. So yeah, I wrote a book, basically just about my life,
Yeah.
about the things that, I went through as a child and to growing up into addiction. I had a hard time directing it at women because I know it is a story that a lot of us have been through, men and women, but I think it was really important for me to do that because I've had a big struggle with being a woman. And I think it was a final step for me to really come out and say, yes, I'm a woman. And that does not mean that I am weak or that I'm a victim or that I asked for any of the, abuse that happened to me, because that is what I felt. That is how the environment I was raised in was very much oppressive against women. And I grew up to internalize that rather than revolt against it. And it's taken me a long time to feel proud and in my own femininity. And so I think, yeah, it is, kind of, I do address women, but it is something for everybody. I think, it's not just women that have these things happen and these feelings and the struggles. So, I'm grateful when I hear men that read it say, oh, I could relate to so much, I hope it's a book for everybody,
I believe it is. I believe you touch on just a lot of things that we go through as people, especially the things like if you're comfortable talking about the abuse, because I feel like that's one thing that I really don't see out there as much. We see a lot of addiction now. We do a lot of addiction, depression, anxiety, heartbreak.
Right.
But like the sexual abuse, I feel like it's not really put out there like very clearly, like how it makes you feel.
Right.
Why and like what it brings into our life, into our relationships, to friendships, into just everything.
Yeah. I do not believe that anything should be labeled as an outside issue in addiction recovery. I believe that everything we've ever been through, all the shit that brought us to right where we are today, those are the issues that need to be talked about. And that includes sexual abuse, domestic violence, eating disorders, just because, I run an addiction page that was, that is a big, huge part of my story. I also want to feel comfortable and I want other people to feel comfortable in sharing the things that led them there, The shame that I felt was so consuming, that I was willing to die to avoid it, and if I don't deal with all that shame and those memories and that the secrets and the silence, then my recovery is going to be shit. Maybe I'll manage to be sober, maybe, but sobriety is not my end game. Healing is my end game. I want to be healed, and maybe that's going to be a journey that lasts me a lifetime. But, I've gotten so far that I feel so free today, and talking about stuff like that, it's hard because, there's a lot of shame. It brings up a lot of shame when you talk about it, and you have to face that stuff. And the truth is that when you're a child and you are manipulated and lied to and made to believe certain things, this stuff is so ingrained and so in your bones that it is hard to see it any other way than being a participant. But the truth is that none of us were participants. That shit should never have happened. But it did. So now how do we move forward? How do we heal? And, it's not easy to talk about. But I think it's super fucking important, especially in addiction recovery, because a lot of us used to hide that stuff.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, in addiction, that's like one of the root problems. You see it, and you see that they don't want to talk about it. And it's like, man, if you could only talk about it and focus on that, I promise you probably will recover. Yeah. Because that's the biggest thing they don't want to deal with. Like, nope, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk about it. And then they go out. What did you have to do to accept what happened and then forgive? Like, how did that process look?
I first had to find people that were, go where the love is. That's so important, because there's a lot of people that don't want to hear about it. If it makes me uncomfortable to talk about it, imagine how uncomfortable it makes people to listen to it. Nobody knows how to handle it. There's really nothing you can say to me that makes me feel better. And if you've never been through it, there's really no way you can relate to what I'm talking about. So people get really weird. And then I would like to say I'm like a spiritual empath and I was born with like this like amazing, but I'm not. I'm actually super traumatized, which makes me super sensitive to people's body language. That's the truth. Yeah. So I can sense when someone's uncomfortable and then I want to go quiet.
Do I look uncomfortable?
You look amazing, especially in your black jacket.
Right back at you.
Yes. So yeah, when I feel, I don't know if you can relate to that, but I'm super sensitive, and I don't think I'm one of those gurus that's like an empath and was born with this like nature. No, I'm really fucking traumatized. I was raised in a home that was, suffocating in chaos of mental illness and addiction. And I learned that if I don't read body language, then I am going to end up getting hurt. So I learned very quick when the triggers were to hide. And that's just carried on. And so now, when I speak about things that make people uncomfortable, it does, I pick up on it real quick, So I had to find people that loved me and were willing to be open and create a space for me to talk about stuff, and whether that's therapy or 12-step program or whatever it is that you find, or all three, or all four, or all five, go where you're comfortable, go where the love is, go where people can accept you. And that's what I did, because when I first got sober, I did not address any of this stuff. I just wanted to be free of drugs and alcohol. That's it.
So did you write it though still on your step 4?
I did, but I did a half-ass for step 4. I think you probably heard that a lot. Yeah. I did a lot about the wreckage I had created in my addiction. In fact, I had not quite accepted that I was not a participant in that childhood stuff. I still felt very much like, since I didn't tell anybody and I never stood my ground and I never acted like it bothered me. In fact, I felt a lot of joy when it happened and a little bit of honor because I was so young and it was attention and love that my parents had never given me before. And that's why you have to be very careful with predators. They know which children are safer. It does happen. It can happen to anybody. Okay. So I'll be clear about that. But more commonly, children who do not have parents that are present, whether they are in their addictions, mental illness, latchkey kids, whatever, those children are poor, a lot of these stars, they don't, perpetrate against fellow stars' children. They perpetrate against, like the lower level poverty because, they know the ones that are safer. I was an easy target because my family was shattered. So, I think like feeling that I never said anything made me feel like I was dirty. And that shame has carried on, like I told you earlier that, I've been ashamed of who I was before I could even spell my own name. That's the truth. I've been keeping secrets before I even really knew what a secret was. I mean, I'm a groomed secret keeper from birth, from my family on to being molested, you know, and carried on.
That's heavy. That's heavy though. No, like I get it.
Yeah.
I get it on that. Even when you said the whole, like, I don't think I am an empath. It was more just living in fear.
Yeah.
And fear that I was so sensitive to things.
Yeah.
That makes me think, 'cause that's exactly how I felt too my whole life. People like, you have a lot of empathy, but I think what it is, I've had a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So I've been very just aware of things, and I pay attention to stuff, body language.
Oh, yeah.
When to walk out, when I'm not going to put myself in that situation or do that, because I
Right.
feel everything.
Me
I'm
too.
very sensitive.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to say it was some, you know, you know, but it's not. For me, it's not.
Yeah.
For me, it's purely because of what I've experienced, you know.
Is there any things you would like to share, and I'll share too, of for people who have been sexually abused, things that they might feel, so they know that they're not messed up in the head, or maybe they know like that it's okay to feel that it's not you, and you can heal through that.
Sure. Yeah. You know, we were talking a little bit about this before, and I think it's important that someone is brave enough to say what I'm going to say. Yeah. You know, I was afraid when I got pregnant with my son that I was going to molest him myself. You know, I had a big fear that, you know, I do tend, and I have had nightmares about other children, and I've had nightmares because, you know, they were pleasurable. You know, this is something that has been super, super drilled in my head. This is, you know, this man stole everything from me, you know, at a young age. And then the memories, you know, I gave him the rest of my life until not too long ago, you know. And I think people need to understand that these things are normal. You're not perverted. You know, I know in my heart that I would never touch a child, and that I do not feel that way, you know. And I think when I spoke to a therapist about it, you know, I said, what if I do something terrible? What if I am a predator? Because I know the statistics are the most predators are victims of sexual abuse. It's like, you know, generations of trauma just carry on until someone stands up and faces it, and that person is me, and that person is you. And we all have different levels of facing stuff, and you don't have to come on camera and say, yes, you know, this, but you have to say something to somebody about it and work through it. That's one. Feeling like you're a participant because you didn't say anything. I mean, we don't say stuff because even as children, we know that we're not going to be protected or believed. And who knows, you know, my abuser never told me not to tell anybody, but a lot of abusers do actually verbalize that. But you don't have to verbalize it. It's all manipulation. Yeah. You know? And so, gosh, it's so important to release that ownership. Dude, it's not my shit to carry. It's not anybody's shit to carry, you know? And there's not a cutoff date. You don't have to be, really, you don't have to be 18. People are abused into adulthood, you know? But especially with children, you know? Like if you're 15, 14, 13, 5, whatever the age, you're still a child. And you were still manipulated. Even if you felt pleasure, even if you felt happy and loved. I mean, this is all part of the game. It's all part of the sickness.
100%. Again, like for my share on that too, I agree with everything you said. And that's the fact that you shared that. I know that for sure, whoever's watching this is going to really be touched by that, because I have never heard that in a podcast, people sharing that.
Yeah.
You know, for me too, is the same thing. Being abused is, when I meditate on letting go of the pain, because that's what I've read how to do it. And it's like I get turned on. And getting turned on by that, I mean, same thing. It's like, oh crap, is that what I'm gonna like? Is that what I'm gonna turn into? And you know, being in recovery, you're so aware now of time that maybe not this year, but what happens if next year? That's what happens. You know, I don't feel comfortable around kids because I think people think I'm gonna do that. And it's like in my heart, I know I won't, but in my head tells me that. And you know, that's why I don't even like being around them. Babysitting, I'm like, no, I'm good. I just don't want to, because I just, that feeling, just that fear starts kicking in my head of like, remember what happened to you? Remember what happened to you? It's uncomfortable. And thinking of like, even like with sex was hard to have too. Trying to have healthy relationships with sex. For me was, I wanted to have sex so much with the female because males abuse me. So I'd be like, I'm not gay.
Prove it.
Does this make me gay? My sexuality, oh gosh, why am I thinking about a guy like that? Like, is this what I am? Am I going to be gay?
Right.
Is that something I have to accept? And it was a fear. Like one day I'm going to wake up like, all right, God, this is what I am. I have to say I am, or what do I have to date a dude? It's like this thing messes with my mind so much. And that fear is still there. I'm in a healthy relationship now, but it's still that thought of like, oh my gosh, is this my reality?
Yeah, there's so much confusion, right? When you're just it's drilled into you for so many years, and then we just abuse ourselves. You know, I'm my biggest abuser. Nobody else, because I only lived in that cult till I was 9. You know,
that's what, 4 years you're there? 5?
I was there from like 2.5 to 9, but 5. Oh, okay. Yeah. Long enough, but I was only 9, and so, but man, I abused myself over this stuff and over my mom's stuff, way longer. I'm my biggest abuser, and I'll beat myself up all the time. And I went through that. I was, I don't want to say gay, but bisexual, whatever. I was in fear, I still have issues sometimes with sex. I still, it's a process. It's all a process. I still sometimes, if I am approached, I don't like it. If I approach you, I'm all good. But if you're going to approach me, then I start feeling a little funny.
I see what you mean,
it's just, it takes a long time. There's no timeline on healing. It takes so much longer to unlearn shit than it does to learn something.
Yep.
Dude, unlearning can take a lifetime of something you learned in a year.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing, is I'm unlearning the stuff that I've taught myself, the stuff that I've been shown. It's there's no timeline, please don't feel like, oh, it's been, I'm going to have 8 years in recovery May 1st. And I'm telling you now that I did not get sober or whatever, and in the first year become this, be able to handle all this stuff. This is going to be a lifetime probably for me.
How would you break down, I know, because for me, I'm going through this. How do you break down the years? I know some people say the second year, a lot of your defects come out, and you start to realize, oh, it's not the drugs and the alcohol. Did you have that experience too?
Oh, for sure. I think the first... I'm like the sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. I'm the sometimes slowly. I am not a fast unlearner. So, the first couple years were just about surviving without substances. I mean, that was it. There was no dealing. I did work the steps, and that does help, but for the most part, I was just learning I just wanted to know how people existed. I could not figure it out. Even though I was clean and sober, I was suffering so much. I have used and drank since I was, 12. And the truth of it is I have been, working on and perfecting the art of avoiding pain and escaping my reality since I was a very little girl. So these basically is a lifetime of numbing out, because I can numb out without substances completely. Yeah. So the first couple of years, I would say, was just about drugs and alcohol. Then shit got weird, because then I kind of got my footing being like that. And then it's like, but I'm still in so much pain. I'm still having nightmares. I'm still acting like a hard ass, because that was part of my coping, my defense mechanism was to be a tough girl and to spit nails and throw punches in the air, even in sobriety, to be tough. Like, I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me, because I know everyone's out to fucking hurt me. And I know everyone's out to try and find my weak spot. So I'm never going to cry. I mean, I didn't cry for years, So when those gates opened, at the next phase, I guess you'd say, of my recovery, I was a fucking mess. I was a snotty, not showering, not brushing my teeth, barely able to function mess, but it's all part of the process. You know what I mean? But I just never gave up. That's all I could say, is I just never gave up, is I just kept facing it. And if I didn't shower, I didn't shower. But I didn't numb out, because I can shut it off, I can stuff it down. I'm really good at stuffing.
What helped you not give up?
I think having community, for one, I think has helped me, because, it's such a cheesy cliche, but to have people that love you till you love yourself is so important, because I hated myself. And I really hated everybody else. And I don't know why that they loved me, because I was a really big pain in the ass, I had this facade about the street life, and I really missed it which is so strange because I was homeless and eating from garbage cans and pissing on the street. And like the last time I was arrested, I literally could not put words. I couldn't put the letters together to make a word, and I couldn't put words together to make a sentence. Wow. I had used my brain away, you know? And so like I was such a mess, man, but they loved me even though, you know, and they just encouraged me, and I just kept going to meetings, and, you know, there's multiple pathways to recovery. So, but from my experience, you know, I love NA and AA, and you know, that's why I say clean and sober. You know, I try to respect everybody. Yeah. But, you know, they loved me even when I was such a mess, you know, even though I really wasn't that lovable. And eventually, as I just kept going, and sometimes I only kept going because I didn't want to go back to prison.
So that was like, okay.
Hey, hang on to what you got to hang on to.
Yeah, I believe that.
You know, sometimes it's because I was on parole, and I knew that if I messed up, I'm going to go back, and I do not want to fucking go back there. You know, but whatever it was, it just, the days added up. You know, I just sat on my hands sometimes. You know, like they say, you just sit on your hands. Just don't do anything. And then eventually I became, you know, once you start to love yourself a little more and respect yourself a little more, then you start to realize you deserve better than that life.
What does loving yourself look like for you?
Damn, you ask good questions. Fuck. I was hoping it'd be a little bit easier than this.
These are the good questions.
Let's see. Jeez, what is that loving? Yeah, that's such an easy thing to say, loving yourself, huh?
Because a lot of us, it's the whole self-love movement we have, and it's like, sometimes it's like, how do you? I know I had a tough time.
Yeah. Loving myself, I think, means, God. You know, I think for me, is just accepting who I am. The shitty stuff, the good stuff, accepting all of it, and knowing that I'm worthy of whatever it is that my heart wants to do. That's one, because I felt so unworthy for so long. And today I feel worthy of recovery. I feel worthy of friendships. You know, that doesn't mean I'm perfect, but to love myself even though I'm not perfect, you know? And sometimes self-love means when I'm feeling shitty, to sit with it, you know, to face the pain, because that's where the power to change your life is. It's in the pain that you're afraid to face. It's in the pain that I was willing to die to avoid. I face it, and facing it sometimes sucks, you know, and now I'm a mother, so I have children, and sometimes I can't face it right away because I don't, you know, I can't fall apart as easily, you know, and that's why I'm so grateful that I waited. You know, some people have children and then get recovery.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I'm not going to say I waited by being, you know, responsible as a heroin addict. No, it just, God saved me and the children that I didn't have any till I was clean. But
I remember too in your book it said that you were pregnant at one point.
I was.
And you were going to keep it at one point, you thought.
I was,
and then
for
the
my
guy
mom.
left.
Yeah, the guy left. You know, my mom, that's another thing that's an important subject, I think, to talk about for women as mothers and daughters. You know, there's, in writing my book, I found so much stuff about mothers and dads. You know, the fatherless daughter syndromes and the dad, you know, girls looking for dudes like their dads. You know, it's not, it should be a little bit more important who we see when we walk past the mirror and the kind of women we become than who we date. Because it all ends up being the same anyways. You know, if you don't have a good, you know, grounding, like, grasp of loving yourself or, you know, whatever, you're going to date a shitty guy anyways. You know, and so mothers and daughters is so important. And you know, my mom is mentally ill. She's just incapable, you know, and, you know, I have accepted that, you know, but just because I accepted that doesn't mean that it did not cause me a lot of hurt, you know, and she was always trying to kill herself. And I did end up pregnant, you know, at 15 or 16, and she was in a mental hospital. And I thought it would be something that would make her want to live. So I drove down there and I told her I was pregnant. And, you know, she came home, and then a week later she tried to kill herself again. And he had left me. And so, yeah, I went down and had an abortion, which is a whole nother thing that, you know, I had to work through because that was terrible. And for me, it was just a terrible experience, you know, all the way around. But I numbed out. I just, you know, I detached from my body. I'm good at that. And I just floated away in my imagination and while it was going on. But it was something I had to deal with later in recovery. You know, there's been a lot of stuff I've had to face, you know, and forgive myself for. Forgiving yourself is important. I personally think I can't forgive anyone until I forgive myself.
And how do you practice forgiveness for yourself?
Are we done?
Love these
Sheesh.
questions, right, guys?
I was sounding all smart until you start asking me something else. Okay, what now?
How do you?
Repeat that.
Okay, here we go. How do you? How do you practice forgiveness
For myself?
for yourself?
Fuck. Let's see. First, it's acceptance. Accepting what happened. Accepting whatever it is. And then I don't know, I just learned to, I kind of hash through it and figure out all the scenarios. A lot of times I did stuff out of being wounded. A lot of times I participated in stuff. I've committed a lot of crimes. I've done a lot of stuff in my life that, I'm not proud of. But I think also it really helps me to turn all that around as being a purpose to help other people. That's kind of like the way I give back. I could easily just go on with my life, and be clean and sober and a mom and act like none of this has happened. I don't have to write a book. I don't have to put myself out there. I don't have to tell everybody that I was in prison or I'm a lifetime felon and all this stuff. I could just carry on and no one would know. But then, what a waste. It's such a gift. It's like the gift wrapped in shit. You got to open up all the shit. And then in the middle is this gift that I feel so grateful for everything I've ever been through and everything I've ever done. All of it, whether it be my wreckage or the wreckage that I went through, it makes me who I am today. And I really wouldn't change anything. Nothing. Even the most painful of things. Because even removing that might make me somebody different. And I don't want to be different today. I really don't. Do you? How do you feel about forgiveness?
She got me.
How do you forgive yourself?
Oh, luckily, I was thinking about that when you were talking. Well, there's a guy in an orange shirt right here, too.
Hey.
That's the forgiveness master right there. Watch him pull this barbecue slowly.
Orange shirt, red watch.
Slow. Look at those nice calves.
Oh, yeah, and he's showing them off.
Oh, and here comes another person. And walk by. And
Hey.
I'm using this time to think of how I forgive myself.
Yeah, I could tell that because I'm an empath, remember? Can't get by anything by me.
Forgiveness for myself. What it looks like for me was, I had to have a higher power belief because I had to come to this conclusion of, okay, I had to get through all the suffering happened to me for a reason. Because if life is planned out from beginning to end, then my life was supposed to suffer because I'm going to be able to help people. And having that perception and practicing that by praying on that and meditating and writing down everything happened to me for a reason. And every time I would share an AA, well, everything happens to you for a reason. I'm living proof, even when I didn't believe it. Doing that every single day until this day is how I practice my forgiveness, because that's the only way that I can let those things go and view it as oh, that person got raped probably when he was a kid. He didn't heal. That's why he did it to me. I get it. I know how the mind is. From heartbreaks, it just wasn't meant to be. I had to have my heart broken to build it to something new. And then my mom having cancer, I just had to see it as, this is happening because it's going to help me get closer to my mom. It's going to help me get sober, and it did. And just having that perception and writing about it, meditating and reading every single day, reading things that people have gone through the similar things, to always put into my mind. Because I'm sure when you're aware, every day is something different in your head. Maybe it's not. Maybe there is no God. Maybe it's this and that. Maybe this is a waste. Maybe I'm just fucked. Maybe I could use again. Or maybe this is, what's the point of life?
Right.
So having those things every single day put into my head is what helps me forgive.
Yeah, writing is huge. I tell people writing, paper and pen writing is huge for me. So there's something amazing about seeing your own handwriting. I don't know what it is, but there's, to write it out, to actually physically, in this day and age, it's so hard. We have the phone and we have the laptop, but to use a pen and paper, they do exist still. And write out what you feel, no matter what it is, without editing it. You don't have to worry about anybody listening and your spelling and spell check, all that stuff. Just write it out. I mean, that heals a lot. That's, writing has saved my life big time, I think. Has saved, maybe not my life, but has saved my recovery. Because, my recovery wasn't very quality in the beginning. I got in recovery in prison. I still had a little over a year of prison left when I got clean and sober.
Oh, so you started in prison. That's where it started. Okay.
Yeah. I used in prison when I first got there. You know, I mean, I had no tools. I just was locked up. That's not any type of recovery. You know, and I had my divine intervention, which I talk about in my book. You know, it's no other way to say it, but you know, a moment of clarity, because I needed, you know, prison is not a great place to find recovery, you know. However, for me, I needed enough time to clear my head, like to clear the fog and to break away that facade of the street life and what I thought was cool and what I thought was, you know, I loved being a thug, man. I did, you know. I had no, you know, I didn't have to be conscious of anything. I just fucking acted however I wanted to act it. If I wanted to rob you, I would. You know, I had nothing.
How do you not act on those things now?
Well, I mean, now today it's just so far removed. You know, even if I could go back there, I don't belong there anymore.
Well, okay, like
but
in the beginning yeah.
I still belong there. Yeah, it was difficult. You know, I used to, when I'd go into CVS, I live in the same town I used in. I've lived there since I was 9, still to this day. You know, the same police that used to chase me down, I see sometimes. You know, and when I go in like the stores, I shop with my children in the stores I used to steal from, you know, and I used to want like a parade that I left there without stealing, you know, like where's the parade and like the cookie, like I didn't steal from you today, you know, for all these years, you know. I don't know. I think it's just because I have so much shame. I don't want any more, you know. I think that's part of it, and it just old behavior. It took time to feel, you know, get my footing in like legit life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was so afraid that sober life was going to be boring.
Right.
You know, and, you know, I loved that fast life, even though there's so much negative shit, you know, but I loved just all night long, you know, dealing and, you know, dumb shit. And I really thought that's all I was capable of. You know, if I dig down really deep, I really thought that's all I was deserving of, because I really felt that I didn't deserve any more than that.
Yeah.
You know, and now I think it just took time, but I started to feel that I did deserve something better. I deserved to go to Starbucks and be up in the morning, and, you know, slowly it got easier. It just takes time. That's the thing. Sometimes it just takes a long time. Not everybody is, you know, especially on social media, you'll see people posting pictures at 5 days sober.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Social media recovery. This is a good one, yeah.
This is difficult because a lot of people, and I'm not saying they're lying, and I'm not saying they're telling the truth. I'm not there to do that. But from my perception, you know, they're posting pictures at 5 days or whatever, and they're in the sunshine, and they're like, this sober life, #sober life. You know, that is not normal.
Yeah.
And that's not the general way that it looks. In fact, if you Google image Golem from Lord of the Rings, that is my early recovery, not addiction, my early recovery picture. I mean, that was me. Precious. I was inside and outside Golem for a few years, you know. Please do not base your recovery and how you're feeling on these pictures, because I can very easily take a nice picture of myself, brighten up the color, brighten up the highlights, add a little color, you know, whatever, and then as soon as I post it, turn around and feel like bawling my head off. You know, the reality is that sobriety is hard, especially in the beginning, and that's okay. Like, please tell me how easy addiction is. We'll wait.
Yeah.
Go ahead, we'll wait. Because, you know, sobriety and recovery is hard, but man, so is living in addiction. Fuck, it took me so much to keep up with that shit. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Am I cussing too much?
No, cussing's
okay, good.
allowed.
Okay, good, because I feel so free when I say fuck.
Oh, you can cuss. Fuck.
Okay, good.
let's get another fuck.
Fuck.
It's healing. But no, yeah, I like that because you're right. The social media recovery. There's good accounts. You know, you have a great account. You're very authentic.
Thank you.
Posting things for people to relate to. Taryn's a good one.
Yes.
Julie's a good one.
Yes.
Sober Movement does a lot of posts.
Yeah.
Isaiah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good accounts out there. You know.
There is, for sure.
But yeah, you're right.
That Sober Faust guy's okay.
That guy sucks.
He always wears a black leather jacket, but he's all right.
Yeah, wears the same shirt too and the same pants. Does he even wash his clothes?
Does he even have hair?
Why do you think he shaved his head?
Boom.
Boom.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, though, but
No, there's some amazing people.
No, there is.
But there is some bullshit.
Yeah, you're right. I think because I've seen people too, and in person, like, I got this 2 months up. No, I'm good. I don't need this. Like, I'm going to figure out my own way to do this. Like, I'm way ahead of you. Like, look at your life. Look at mine.
Right.
And it's like, now you have an ego. You have spiritual ego. You're trying to not do the steps or not do
whatever it is. Yeah.
And maybe you got 3-4 months in, and then what happens? You crash. You fall apart. You disappear. And it's just like, yeah, it's just not good. It's not good.
There's got to be a middle ground too. Like, there's a lot of relapse that happens, okay? Especially, in life, it doesn't matter. So, but especially on social media, because I do support all pathways to recovery, except only using social media as your recovery tool.
Yes.
Because there is no face-to-face community. There's nobody to keep you accountable. You could just post what you want. And we have a tendency to want to love people. that's just how we are. So people are constantly relapsing and then coming back the next day. Oh, I lost my days. But you know what? I'm not gonna get rid of those days because I learned something. So I'm still at 20 days. No, that is not fucking the way it works. We're so eager to love people, which is great, but I don't want to be like a Nazi about it and be like, no, you're not in recovery. I'm not there to say that.
There has to be tough love.
There has to be because people die in relapse. Please stop painting a picture that you can just relapse and come back the next day and we're all going to love you, which we are, but everyone's going to be like, okay, that's okay. Relapse is part of recovery. No, relapse is not part of recovery. Relapse happens a lot in recovery. I happen to relapse, but not because recovery failed me, because I failed at recovery. I stopped doing what I needed to do, but relapse kills people like daily.
Every day.
It should be feared more rather than just like, oh, that's okay. Oh, you didn't lose your days. That's okay. Not that counting days is like it's not the key to recovery. However, it's kind of important to for me it was to keep the days because after a while, when you have a shitty day, sometimes it's those days that's the only thing that keeps you there because it's like, fuck, I don't want to go back and say I'm a newcomer. Sometimes that's the only thing that kept me clean. Because everything else sucked.
Yeah, and you're right. It's like, if you make social media recovery, you're fucked. You are. That's why I tell people too. Like, you go to AA, NA, faith-based. Like, get into one of those. Still, I'll give you advice, but still go to one of those in your city. Like, I'll send you the website. Yeah. Find some in your city. These are the type of meetings, open discussion. Book study. Do this. Find a sponsor.
Something.
You have to, because this will not. And you're right. 2 days. Oh, I'm back on day one. And then what happens with that? Sometimes that builds shame.
Yeah.
Because then you're that person, like a lot of us, we're extremists. We go out, put it all out there for everyone to know, and then we fail. So everyone's like, here he goes again.
Yeah.
Here he goes again. And then it comes to almost like, do you just want attention?
Yes. Some people do. It's so hard to tell on social media, especially. We have a lot of, people have a lot of issues, and there's a lot of people that need attention and I love getting the likes and it makes me feel good that people feel something from my posts or think my kids are cute, and it could easily turn into the only thing that I resource from, if I'm not careful. I like
this one. I like this topic. Yeah.
I'm a human.
Yeah.
I want people to think I'm pretty. That's fucking human. Okay. My name is Jen and I want to be cute. Okay. What can I say? And I love it that people think that I'm, that get something out of my posts. However, if I'm just posting that stuff and I'm not living that stuff, what the fuck is it for? Yeah. I want that. The thing with, healing and recovery is that I can say anything I want to say, but I want people to see me and actually see what healing is like. I try to be as transparent as I can, I really do feel happy a lot of the time. I've made it, I am so far that, I'm not faking the funk, I really do. I feel fucking free, but it doesn't mean I'm free every single moment of the day. And it doesn't mean that, and that's why I kind of go back to the beginning because, I'm not doing this for people that have found healing already. I don't share for people that are in a good place. I share for people that were like I was, that are fucking miserable, that are not facing anything. Like, those are the people that need to hear my stuff more than somebody that's, where maybe I'm at, in the healing process or whatever. So I go back there. Sometimes people ask me, like, doesn't it bother you to have to keep talking about that old stuff? No. Because I might help somebody. You might want to try it, I'm not here to I might help somebody. Like, that's the whole purpose, right?
Yeah, I tell people, I think it's just that you have to see the difference of, we're not playing victim though.
No.
So we're sharing our story to help someone.
Right.
I'll talk about it all the time.
Right.
I don't identify that. I share it to help someone now. I'm not
Right.
sharing it to get attention.
No.
I share it to help. And what does it do? It helps us heal.
Yeah.
You get to a point I talk about it, like, and it's like, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Oh, I got sexually abused. People are like, that's really? I'm like, it does not. But it did.
Yeah.
I was hiding for so many years. I do not want to hide no more.
No.
I'm an addict.
Yeah.
I did weird shit on meth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't even know hotels existed. I thought motels was the nicest thing out
Me
there at one
too.
point. You know, it's like,
Motel 6, baby.
and you know, that's the thing too. A lot of people have a lot of shame too, I think, when you're in addiction, the things that you do. The weird,
Yeah.
especially on meth.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
Right.
it's like, I embrace that.
Yeah.
I embrace those stories, and people go, oh my gosh. I go, yeah, but you probably did it too. Like,
Right.
and that's why you don't say nothing. It's like, dude, just rock it. It's not who you are no more.
No, it's not. And the thing is, like, that's another thing I sometimes feel a little out of place, because most of the women that I really admire on social media are recovering alcoholics. Or at least that's their main, was their main thing.
Yeah.
And so I can't, sometimes I used to feel uncomfortable talking about the drug stuff, because I really wanted to feel this connection with the sober women, the mommy wine culture and all
Gotcha.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I really relate to that, because I don't shut myself off. Sorry, I backed up. Because I don't shut myself off, just because it's not the substances we used. Yeah. It's the emotions. It's the whys, not the whats, And so I try to, like, I don't understand the gray area drinkers, the ones that are getting sober, but they weren't alcoholics. Like, nothing is gray about me, except maybe that's my favorite color. Like, literally, there's no gray area. Yeah. I am like, whew, black or white,
Yeah.
But I feel like people, if they just, maybe you never were hiding in your bathroom finding a vein, but maybe you were hiding in your closet drinking wine before your husband got home.
Yeah.
Same shit.
Yeah.
Maybe different situation, but the same emotions, the same silence, the same secrets, the same shame.
What's the longest you think you've spent in a bathroom?
Oh, fuck. Dude, I don't even know. I fucking loved bathrooms.
Right?
In fact, today, my bathroom is the clean. I am obsessive about cleaning bathrooms. I think because I lived in the shittiest fucking bathrooms that ever. I mean, the toilet's overflowing. I mean, I could tell you, like, I used to wipe myself with socks, like just. Ugh. But yeah, bathrooms have to be very clean, because I used to live in bathrooms. Oh yeah, McDonald's bathrooms. I could tell you so many stories. Oof. It did nothing mattered. I was pretty bottom. Yeah.
I was like, man, I've been in my bathroom for like 4 days doing the same routine. I think someone's coming to the door, but no one's at the house. But nope, this time someone's here, looking under the little
the crack.
Space, the crack, opening the door, putting stuff against the other door, like my speakers and a pull-up bar and my dumbbells. I'm like, no one's gonna get in, just in case. Even though all the doors are locked, they're picking the lock. They know they're gonna come. And the whole day goes by, I haven't even touched my drugs because I've been so in psychosis for hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, and sweating, and the sweat's dripping on the drugs. I'm like, oh my gosh. Cocaine evaporating because the shower's so hot. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta buy more drugs, calling my dealer.
Mess. It's such a mess, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's such a mess. I was a total tweaker. I was a heroin and meth together. I had to have both.
Speedballs?
Yes, I guess they call them speedball. I guess that's technically heroin and cocaine, but cocaine affected my heart too much. I loved meth and heroin, but heroin came first because I'd be super, super sick, obviously, without it. But if I only had the heroin, I'd be searching for. I needed both, And the heroin maybe dulled out because I was a full-on tweaker in high school a little bit, and I remember I had full-on drug psychosis. I mean, I thought I was kidnapped, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't. And completely the shadow people and the cops, and I heard helicopters. I flushed more dope for no reason than I can even remember.
Oh, gosh.
This one, I remember this biker gang. I was like 15. They gave me a front on dope to sell. I'm sure it was crappy, but. I swear helicopters, and I flushed all of it, and then I owed this guy, it was like $120, but I was like 15, completely, little kid, and I owed this like major biker gang. I mean, I flushed so much shit, not in my later years. In my later years, no, I never flushed anything, never. I would shove it up there, and hope it all works out.
Shove it up where? I used to do a lot of drugs in my ass, so that's why I laugh at that.
Not my ass, my other hole.
Oh,
sorry.
okay. Well, this is kind of awkward.
Yeah, well,
Well,
we'll talk about that later.
yeah,
Well, that's the only hole you have, right? I personally have two.
that is true, unless people put in their pee hole, which
Ooh.
I don't doubt it maybe.
Yeah, I happen to have a more convenient hole than the ass, but you know.
That's true.
And when I was arrested the last time, I had drugs in me, thank God, because you know I used them a little bit to help with the dope
Yeah.
sickness. When I would, you know, like I said, I lived in the same town for so long that you know when I first started getting arrested, you know, the cops would always pull me aside and be like you don't belong here. Like, what are you doing here? You know, you're too pretty. Da, da, da. You know, you shouldn't be hanging out with these people. And then after a while, man, they just, oh, you're here again. They'd throw me right into a solitary, you know, cell as like a, you know, act of kindness for the junkie who's about to get super dope sick. Man, dope sickness is
Terrible. How would you describe it for someone to kind of get an idea of how it feels for someone who's never been through it?
You know, it's the anxiety, you know, it's, you know, shit, you know, there's the physical, the sweating, the chills, the yawning, for heroin at least, the yawning, the eyes watering, shitting on myself, vomiting. But then it's the anxiety of just crawling out of my skin. I really can't describe it to anybody, but I feel so sorry for people that are going through that because I know, and no wonder people use, you know, like, it's so much torture. It's such torture. And then when you get arrested like that, they don't, you know, I remember being shackled to women, you know, on the buses to court. And I would be just trying not to shit myself and sweating and you could smell the heroin seeping from my pores, you know, and I would sit there in court and see these public defenders and they'd smell like perfume and they'd look like civilization. And I felt so far removed from that. I felt like an animal. Really, I lived like an animal. You know, I go pretty far down the tubes, you know, when I do that. I go like in the underworld. Oof. Grateful.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen people in my recovery and seeing it on the other side, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow. It's a miracle that anybody recovers, you know. To just it's, you know, any substance, you know, it's all so horrible to try. And you know, it's hard for people that have never been there to understand that. Why do you keep doing it? You know, just stop. Well, thanks. I should have thought of that a long time ago.
Right? It's like, okay, then I want you to hold your breath and never breathe again.
Yeah.
I can't do that exactly how it feels.
Yeah, first you got to get through all the physical, and then it's all the reasons why we used. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe because that's my story is being having so much to work through. I think I kind of maybe assume everybody must have stuff to work through. Maybe some people don't. Do some people become like you know, I have this thing where I think there's a difference between like, you know, becoming chemically dependent on something and addiction. You know, anybody can become chemically dependent. You know, if you take, you know, Vicodin for X amount of days, you could be a complete businessman normie. You know, your body becomes, you know, relies on a substance, any substance, even caffeine. If I don't drink caffeine, you know, I have a headache like a motherfucker. You know, that's a chemical dependence. But like addiction, I feel, you know, most of us can, if we really think and look back, we had that numbing out, escaping behavior long before drugs and alcohol even came to our life, I think.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's just because that's my story, so I assume everybody else is fucked up too. I don't know. Maybe they're not.
No, I like that. I like that difference, chemically dependent and addiction. Because you're right. Yeah, people that drink coffee every day, gotta have coffee, gotta whatever it is every single day, coffee, and that's a big one. And for us, it's like magnified.
There's a lot of people that, you know, have surgeries, you know, that were good kids, you know, that, you know, got injured, you know, in football or something. They get surgeries and they're on and they get, you know, these, and then boom.
Yeah.
They're on heroin because their narcotics got, you know, that I feel sometimes can just be a chemical dependence that, you know, the doctor's bad, you know, you gave them this and then they just cut them off, you know, and they're chemically dependent. But I think, you know, a lot of us in addiction and addiction recovery, like I said, can really look back on your life and say, man, maybe I was kind of an avoidance of reality long before that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I had some untreated mental illnesses, or mental health issues that were not being addressed. A lot of it's self-medicating, you know, deeper issues that come up, you know, once you get clean and sober.
I think a big thing is probably like, you're right, like you have two people. One person does get on the oxys or from an injury and they're okay, and the one that doesn't goes to heroin. It's like we're probably the ones that had lack of connection our whole life.
Yeah.
And when we get on that, it's like it does way more for us than just take the pain away physically. We're like, oh, I feel good. I feel content, accepted now. I'm good, and I don't want to get off of this. Can I buy this stuff? Yeah, you can buy it, and then you continue to do it, and you go to the heroin or methadone, whatever it is, and I think that's the big thing.
When I started drinking when I was 12, okay, and I am a firm believer that I was an alcoholic from that first drink, and I'll tell you why. Because I literally, it was just a bottle of, it was a vodka, little glass, unknowing what was gonna become in my life, you know, naive. I started drinking, and I'm telling you, it was the first moment of peace I had ever felt. And before that glass was even halfway gone, I was already plotting and planning and scheming in my mind, how was I going to get more of this and do it every day for the rest of my life? First drink. And I think that's because I was already an alcoholic, addict, whatever, before then, before I found the substance. And I'm telling you, I'd won a few sips of that, and I felt the first peace I had ever known, ever. And I did exactly that. I drank every day as much as I could find until I got, you know, clean and sober in 2011. But it's amazing I'm alive today, really.
It really is.
I shouldn't be. Lots of times.
And I'm sure you know, too, is like this addiction is no joke.
No.
It's not. It is so not. The fact that we're still standing here sober is a miracle. Such a miracle.
It is. I don't understand how people don't believe in miracles. I see them every day, all day long. I talk to them. I'm talking to one now. We're in a house of miracles right now. You know, all this, the fact that we're even here, that we're doing something important, you know, because, you know, I could have easily maybe survived, but then maybe been, you know, I've had a lot of wreckage to clean up. You know, I'm a felon forever. You know, I cannot chaperone my son at any type of his field trips. None of my charges are child related or even violence, but, you know, I am a felon. You know, like I could have still been in prison had I been arrested for everything I've ever done. You know, I just feel so great. You know, grateful. I don't feel lucky. I don't believe in luck. But I feel really blessed that, you know, I've been saved from everything that I've done and everything I've been through to be here right now today, that to even have a story worth talking about, you know, that's not just sitting in my shit. I actually can tell you, like, please, I'm proof, you're proof that, like, you know, recovery is real, and like you can actually live again and thrive. It's to be able to sit in my own skin alone, just by myself, is a miracle. But to be able to sit in my own skin with a camera at me and you and talking to you is like a double miracle. Seriously. And to share all that I'm sharing, you know, I mean, I care more about helping other people than I care about how it makes me look. You know, I already have, you know, hated myself for so long. It doesn't bother me if someone else is uncomfortable with me. You know, if one person can go, oh my God, you know, like I shouldn't be carrying that anymore. Like I've been carrying, I carried so much that I had to let so much go. Then it makes it all worth it. It makes it all okay, you know?
Oh, I love that. That is, wow. Very powerful. Very powerful. So I always ask questions for my special guest all the time. And I ask everybody these, so we'll start with the first one. Okay. You ready for this?
No, but go ahead.
She's not ready. First one, we'll go a little easy.
Okay.
So she drinks the grapefruit, dragon fruit. Starbucks sponsor, don't forget. I still have my bang.
Okay.
What are 3 books that have helped you in this journey of recovery?
Oh, that's a good question. Codependent No More. Straight up Bible for me. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. And probably The 4 Agreements.
Oh, that's a good one. a very good one.
Next question. I feel like, whew.
She's like, wow. Next question.
Oh God. And Shape of a Woman's been a life changer.
Oh yeah, don't forget about this book.
Just
This book shaped me into the best woman I thought I was.
That actually saved my life, but
That's a
go
fact.
ahead.
But seriously,
No.
that is a good book.
Thank you.
It really is.
It's, it's not a long, I don't think I'm capable of writing like a novel.
Yeah.
So, it's like a shorter to the point, right from the first page to last. And there are more books coming. So, they're all going to go together. I can't write, my brain doesn't function like that. I don't know if I could possibly write, and I can't read a novel either.
Yeah.
I like stuff that like gets right there, gets me, and it's like from start to finish done. I have a lot of books sitting by my bed. I just can't finish.
Yeah.
Not because they're not good. I just don't have the capacity to, my brain doesn't work like that. Nike, sponsored by Nike. Go ahead.
Nike. Oh, he has Nike shoes.
Yeah,
Nike
Nike
sponsor
shirt.
us too? You gonna sponsor us?
That's what we really need.
I need some shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next
question.
Yeah.
What are oh man, see, I'm spacing out.
You asked the books.
I asked the books. I did. Damn, I totally just spaced out. Oh, okay, here we go.
Oh shit.
Recovery. What are what are 3 things that keep you sober?
Healing. I don't think I can heal unless I'm sober.
What does healing look like to you?
Did I already answer that question?
Maybe. Did she?
Healing looks like facing pain. It looks like facing it and knowing it's not going to kill me, and knowing I'm not going to be, the world will not swallow me whole, and I don't have to be afraid. In fact, not facing pain could kill me.
Yeah. Oh, that's in the book, right? That was powerful.
Yes.
I underlined that.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I love that.
I did.
Yeah, that's true. Facing pain feels like it's going to kill you, but it's not. Actually, not facing it, at least for me, it almost killed me tons of times. What was it? And one more?
You said healing?
Healing? Is that all I said?
I think so.
You sidetracked me. Okay. What was the question?
Top 3 things that keep you sober.
Hi, I wrote a book, but I don't know anything.
Right.
Top 3 things. Okay. My purpose to help other people. I really, it's not about letting them down. It's about, I feel like, there's not enough people willing to like step up and really help people. People are dropping like flies, man. And not only dying is sometimes a blessing when compared to living the way that you live in addiction, man. There's a lot of people, I drove past tons of them right now that are on the streets, that are just discarded and completely, mentally gone, and no, and they're somebody's child. They are somebody's father, possibly, somebody's brother, somebody's friend a long time ago that used to play baseball, and now they're, I was one, I was one just like them. So keeping my purpose is another. And I don't, my children don't keep me sober. I think that my children are a gift of sobriety and recovery. But I think it does help me, to know that I am a motherless daughter. I grew up, without a mother present in my life, and I never want my children to feel that. And I know that as much as I love my children right now, that if I will use them away. I will. And that's hard to admit, but it's the truth. That's what happens to me. It's not that I'll consciously do it, but I will, once that beast gets opened up, man, I'm gone. You might as well just say sayonara to Jen, because I'm gone, even with children. That's why I never look down or judge women that have children, because the addiction, you will love your drugs more than your children and more than anybody else. Yeah. That's just the way it is. So that's, not becoming a mother like my mother, gotcha. I think is important to me.
Oh, that's really
God bless her, because she's, has so many issues, and I wish that she would have found her voice, and I wish that she would have, healed her life. But she's also very physically ill, and and mentally. So I don't know how much longer she has to live. But I hate to say that I don't think she's ever going to come around, but I don't hope on that anymore. I kind of just learned to accept her for who she is, and love her from the woman I am today. But I also don't talk to her anymore right now, because it's just too much.
That's understandable. Boundaries.
Boundaries are so important. That's another great book, Boundaries. There's a book called Boundaries. Mm-hmm.
Order the book Boundaries.
Yes.
That's
Codependent no more, though, saved me because
we're all codependent. So many of us are codependent.
So codependent.
It's crazy because some people don't even know what codependency is or what is that. I'm like,
really?
You.
Yeah. It like goes hand. I mean, I seriously think they should pass, if you're in the 12 step, whatever, they should pass out like the NA, AA, and Codependent No More. Should just be like, whatever big book, basic texts you have, then read that book too, because man, it just goes hand in hand.
Definitely.
So much.
So for your book, how can people order your book?
I am right now go on Amazon.com, Shape of a Woman, Jen Elizabeth. I'm doing this all on my own. It will be almost out 90 days. I'm going to do a big special for the 90 days. So watch for that. But, I'm doing it kind of on my own. I'm finding other platforms and I'm getting it out there as much as I can. I feel a lot of pressure. Like I should be doing this and this and this, And one thing my friend told me, a book is timeless. So I'm just trying to, accept and be patient with myself and understanding. I'm learning as I go, and I do as much as I can. I try to get out there as much as I can and speak, and I appreciate coming on here. And anytime I can tell my story is on a platform that maybe somebody hasn't already heard it, it's important. Sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself. Like, who wants to hear that? The girl got molested in the cult again, But maybe you have a listener that's never heard it that needs to hear it, So I try to. It's important. I feel it's scary publishing a book about stuff like that, but it's important. It's important that somebody's brave enough to do it. And there are a lot of brave people that write, People need to read more, though. Not a lot of people read anymore, I noticed.
Especially in this day and age. Nope.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think this book is it will be life-changing. It's like another step to your purpose and opening up the doors for more things. And I think a cool thing I see happening is like we're almost starting a whole movement of these recovery people on Instagram that are doing it. It really is because we're throwing honesty out and people are seeing that and we're just normal people. So people can relate to us and we actually answer them back in their direct messages and we're starting a movement. We're all getting together like this, getting together, putting things out there. So I think something big's going to happen with all this for all of us in a couple of years.
I hope so, man. I try not to get too hopeful that we're going to end addiction. But I'd like to really change the face of recovery a little bit, because I understand the stigma of addiction. I understand the stigma of people in active addiction. I did rob people. I did lie. I did manipulate. I was a menace to the system. I was a criminal. All the things that people look at addicts or whatever. I understand, that stigma. But what I don't want is the stigma of recovery. Because, I'm not proud of that stuff, but I will never be ashamed to be in recovery. There is nothing for you to look down on me for being in recovery. And believe it or not, there's still a lot of people that stigmatize recovery. And until we've changed the face of recovery, I don't think we're going to change the face of addiction in other people's eyes. Sure, I'm a recovering addict, so I understand people in active addiction. I don't look down on them. However, just the outside people, we're not trying to fight stigma amongst each other. We don't stigmatize each other. I mean, we've already been there, done that. It's the people that can't relate, It's the ones that, unfortunately, they're the ones that actually have more power in legislation right now and in the big stuff. I got to keep my battles where they're at because I could go on and on about the battles, Thankfully, there's people like Eric Stoford or whatever, people that are fighting on legislation. I'm not there. I kind of I got my own little thing. Yeah. But it is there. It is a reality that there's a lot of the opioid crisis and the way that people, advertise alcohol and just, young people and alcoholism. It's just, there's a lot of shit, and I don't think we're ever going to get rid of it because I don't think human nature will ever stop feeling pain.
Nope. No, life is suffering and it just gets worse because everything gets faster. Instant gratification, technology. Kids grow up with a phone and a iPad. It's like you're giving these kids addiction at 1 year old because they're having dopamine effects stuck on this. Imagine when that kid has a sip of alcohol in elementary school. Well, this is better than this too. I like this more.
I'm telling you.
So I think what we can possibly do is just make sober sexy. Yeah. Make it appealing. Make it fun. Make it look at all these people they have a huge following. They're traveling. They're doing all these cool things, these seminars, and they're making an impact. And they have their own businesses, their own recovery home. Whatever what we do, at least it gives more hope.
Yeah.
You know, instead of it being people think still it's a cult. People think people have 30 years and they look miserable.
Yeah.
Or people get spiritual pride in the rooms, and you are ruining it for people.
Yeah.
Because I've had people like that where, you got a lot of recovery time, and I hang out with you, and you're cheating on your wife. You're beating your wife. You're talking about hooking up with chicks that are in their 20s. You're 60 because your wife doesn't want to put out. And I'm like, I don't want to get sober if that's how my life's going to be. Like, you suck.
I'll tell you that there's a few, and I will not throw them under the bus, but there's a few, accounts that I really looked up to, that have quite a big following that, down the road messaged me and asked me, to send pictures of myself. And
wow.
I was like, wow, dude, you're not doing so hot. And those people I just pray for because, maybe they're not, relapsing is not like the complete end of, worst thing. Actually, living in sobriety, being a shithead sucks way worse, like not being healed and not helping people and just being like all these other terrible behaviors and cheating and child abuse. I mean, man. So much. Going after it just for the money angle.
Yeah.
Body marketing or whatever they call
body
that.
Brokering.
Body brokering.
So terrible.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. People that are desperate are easy to prey on.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, people in recovery sometimes prey on people that are desperate. Mm-hmm. It's old behavior.
Yeah.
It's old behavior. That's how we survived in our addictions is by, manipulating everybody. And
that's why I think 6 and 7 is such an important step, but doing it the real way.
Right.
Work on it. And it's forever. 6 and 7 is forever. You don't pray and your defects go away. It's like, no, that's the practice of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You're egotistical. You manipulate. You're selfish. Practice being selfless. Practice giving every day. Practice listening. Practice not knowing it all.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. That's the part that gets hard. You're like, wow, this is an issue for me.
Yeah.
So I think if they work on that, then that's what would change to recovery. Drop the Rock is such a good book if you haven't read that.
I have not.
Oh, I'm doing that with my sponsor. It's 6 and 7, a full book on it.
Really?
And it's like every paragraph speaks.
Drop the Rock?
Yeah, it speaks beauty to your soul.
Oh, I love that.
Imagine one page takes an hour to go over because it's just like, dude, this is talking to me.
I love that. Amazing. Okay, I'll have to read that.
Yeah. Last but not least, what message do you have for the addict that's still suffering?
First of all, I love you. I love, you are worthy of love. Mm-hmm. You are worthy of forgiveness. You are worthy of life. Mm-hmm. And, reach out. This is not something that people can do alone. I just do not believe it, and I've never seen it. Mm-hmm. It's something that you need. There's no shame in needing help. Mm-hmm. All of us needed help, and I think don't give up. Keep trying. If you mess up, keep trying because. Unfortunately, you're going to die. There's only 2 ways out of addiction, and that is either to get clean or die. There's just no other way. You will not live a healthy or the rest of your life an addict. You will die from this disease or an effect of this, addiction or whatever. I said the disease word, and I don't know if everybody believes it's disease. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Whole nother issue, which doesn't even fucking matter. Yeah. Go where the love is. Find some people in recovery. Find the black house on the corner in Anaheim. Come here, go where people are going to accept you and love you until you can love yourself and are going to help you, you're worthy of healing, whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you. Miracles are possible and we are all worthy of miracles.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that good?
That's amazing. Sorry, it's
I was like, hey, where's the band going?
The Sober Rock Band.
Nice. Are they going to start playing for us right now?
I think so.
Sweet. Come over to the corner house. So we're going to have a band and Starbucks.
And Bangs. Don't forget to sponsor us, Bang and Starbucks. And again, guys, check out this book, Shape of a Woman. Literally, it's very transparent. If you're in active addiction or you're dealing with traumas, this book will speak life into you because it will make you feel like you're not alone. Literally, it's the Bible to healing, I will call it, for us. And yeah,
Thank you so much.
No,
Oh,
thank you. It's at
Jinx.
the same time.
Yeah.
Jinx, is Jinx a real thing?
I don't
now?
know.
I don't know.
I don't know, but we'll just pretend it is. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh yeah,
It's awesome.
Seriously, like what you're doing is amazing, and the fact that we're just sitting here, I'm grateful for, because it's cool to follow people on Instagram that are doing this, and then we meet in person.
real.
It's crazy.
I'm real. I'm real.
Yeah.
Do I look sort of the same?
You do. You look
Okay.
better. You look way better.
Do I?
Way better.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was hoping you'd say that.
All right, guys. Well, you guys all have a blessed day. Thank you
Yes.
for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to get more of these awesome videos. We have a lot more people coming on, and information for the book will be in the description. Information for my website will be on there. Tips and tricks. And if you want to find more than just recovery, send me a DM, send Jen a DM, and
Yes,
we will point you
please.
in the right direction.
My DMs are always open.
Yes.
And I do answer all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to buy my underwear.
You
I
know-
have had that happen.
Oh, I've had a bartender friend that did it.
If they'd want to pay me more, but they didn't offer me very much. So I'm like,
I'll sell my underwear.
yeah, I'll send them your way. Okay.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Peace. Oh, that was so good. You've been my favorite person to talk to.
Really?
Yeah. The fact that we've never had a conversation in person
Yeah,
it makes
right?
it even better. I think the biggest thing that helps a lot is the book.
Yeah.
Knowing